Welcome, everybody. We're going to be going from overwhelmed to operational on all these AI features. And I'm very excited to end that feeling of overwhelm. I'll talk more on the webinar today about just my experience because I've been digging in really deep and playing a lot with these features. But how do we actually drive real outcomes and not just talk about features? Fluff, right? Because today the fluff is over. We're going to demo real AI solutions built around actual outcomes that were informed by pain points. And these are solutions that you can actually go and implement and build too. So with that, I'm Em Wingrove. I'm the Chief Marketing Officer for Aptitude 8. We're an elite solutions partner in the ecosystem.
Yeah, and I'm Omi, and I'm the CEO at Diaz-Cooper, and we are a Platinum Solutions partner. So why are we here today? Consider this a first step towards figuring out where to start. As Em said, there's a lot of overwhelming information out there about AI. And what we really want to do is give you some practical ideas for how to actually use it in HubSpot. We're going to start with what's the difference between agents and assistants, et cetera, et cetera. But today's goal is to give you practical tips and some really good demos so that you can come away with things that you can do yourself in the portal. So some of the things we're going to cover today are the agents and assistants, what they are and how they work. Now, I do want to point out here that HubSpot AI isn't like a separate product that you have to go out and get. It is a set of features and automated agents that live directly inside the different hubs, sometimes marketing, sometimes sales, sometimes service, sometimes across all the hubs. Now, some of them do take credits and some of them don't. But by the end of the class, you'll know the difference between the tools and have at least two concrete, useful examples of the tools in real life action. And then hopefully at the end, we'll have some time for questions and some resources that we'll be sharing with you.
Right.
I'm
Curious, before we go into all of the details and educate and talk about all this stuff, I'm curious to hear what tools you guys are using. And I don't think we actually have the poll set up in this portal. So just use the chat. It's totally fine. But what AI tools are you using? Is it agents? If it's agents, which agents? If it's assistants, which assistants? If it's the email writer or the landing page generator, what tools are you guys using? Well, it's a pretty big variety. We got, I don't know, 5, 6 different responses here. Also, there's concerns around data privacy, but there's a lot of variety because I think that's part of what's driving this feeling of overwhelm is that there's stuff everywhere. There's so many different tools and features, and some of them are agents, and it's a suite, right? Breeze is the umbrella, and it is a suite of AI tools of differing levels of function. And I'll be honest, for a while, I thought Breeze was just enrichment. Oh, yeah, Breeze, enrichment. And then when the assistant came out, Breeze Assistant, I'm like, oh, okay, cool. It's the enrichment and the assistant. No, it's the full suite. It's agents, it's assistants, it's standalone AI features, it's the studios, it's even the marketplace. Breeze encompasses a lot. And speaking for myself, I've dug in deep these last few months and I built a business around HubSpot and like technical implementations of HubSpot. So I do know some stuff here. And I will tell you that I've been very overwhelmed trying to figure it all out, let alone figuring out how to rethink about how to solve problems in this new world where AI is driving everything. But I will tell you that it's easy to find them, the features with the pink. That's great. Anything that's in that bright pink, it's going to be AI. Anytime you see the little diamond, it's also going to be AI. Anytime it's not pictured on the slide, but anytime you see the two little coins, the two little gray coins, that means it's going to use credits. So the more you use the tool, the more you're working across the different hubs, the faster your brain will start to get more comfortable and it'll feel more normal where the things are. But that's also, you got to be careful too, right? You don't want to go willy-nilly, go rogue and start building stuff that's then going to hit a bunch of credits or edit a bunch of records in your database. So take it a little slow, find the features in the tool, but I would say just being in the tool and seeing it, because like I said, it's everywhere. Almost it's sales, service, it's in Data Hub, it's buried in like the email builder. If you're building an email, you can click the little button that says, write this email for me or put it in my brand voice. So those things help. I want to talk a little bit more about assistants. So assistants was one of the major pillars under my umbrella. Assistants work with you. They work alongside you. They help you as you work. They enable you to work a bit faster. And so we talked a little bit, someone in the chat, I think Brian was saying that he used the Breeze Assistant. Think ChatGPT or Claude, but inside of your HubSpot. So that means that it has access to your CRM data and you can ask it, show me all of our close won deals from this year in the insurance segment industry. But you could also ask it, hey, what are the best months for doing a marketing event? Summer is not going to be great. Winter and the holidays time of year. So it's both what's inside of your database and also everything else that a large language model can do. Then there's a marketplace where you can go pick from a bunch of different pre-built assistants that you can add right into your portal. Obviously, you got to be careful. There's a little bit of configuration, not a terrible amount, but you can add them right into your portal. And then if that's not enough, you can also build your own custom assistant, which I've done. And then there's also embedded assistant. That's going to be like your web page generator, your landing page generator, your email writer. You're just going to go to the assistant. There's a little drop down here. So this is the brief. What were the top performing marketing campaigns in 2025? Let's see what it does. Live demos, you gotta be careful. I will say HubSpot's assistant, they are a little bit slower than like a GPT or a Claude. So give it a second. It's a little slow for a large language model, but look, it pulled it all up, and then it's gonna do what a large language model is gonna do is say, hey, do you want to take it a step deeper? Now I have this other one. That's the Breeze assistant. I made this test content assistant, and I am going to ask it, if I'm a rep, from a sales rep, what would be the best content to share with contacts associated to this deal? Let's see how she does. Now, I built this one. It's custom. There's actually an out-of-the-box content assistant, I believe, in the marketplace, but I just wanted to play around. I plugged in all of Aptitude 8's data. It's telling me this case study. Here's the link, why you should share it. I built this in an afternoon. If I can do it, you can do it. If you have data inside of your portal, again, this isn't an agent. It's not going and doing anything for you. It's just giving you answers. So that's just a quick demo of the Breeze Assistant and my test assistant.
Everything that M just demoed does not go out into the public at all. HubSpot is using your own portal's information, and it's working within HubSpot's security settings. I did put a link in the chat pane for the security information. Don't feel like using some of these question and answer or content generation. That is not going out into the public at all.
Let's switch over to agents, because agents, they're not just working with, they work for you. They're another major pillar under my umbrella. They're autonomous, right? They're going to go out and do it. You don't have to be next to them. They're not your co-pilot like an assistant. They're going to go do it for you, not with you. There's 3 big agents that are out of the box. And I know there's someone in the chat that was already saying that they were using the prospecting agent. That's one of them. That's the customer agent. I'm going to bucket those 2 together for a second here, because they're going to go engage with your customers. They're going to go engage with prospects. They're going to do some research to figure out what to say to them, but they're enrollment based. That's how the credits are used for those 2 agents. Data agent is a little different. That's more usage based. And as you can see, the credits are different. And by the way, we could do a whole separate hug session on just the credits and the pricing and how to get it all, how to actually plan and budget for the different outcome solutions that you want to build. But yeah, data agent is a little bit different. We've also got custom agents. We've toyed with a couple in our demo portal, nothing that I'm ready to demo today, but I will tell you the prospecting agent, the data agent, and the customer agent, we're using those, and they're great. We're struggling to find a need. What would be the custom agent? What would it actually do? Starting to figure out what are the complex or custom use cases for that. Breeze Marketplace also is going to have your agents and assistants there. There's also, I would say they're agentic, these bottom 3 that are in gray. I put them in gray because they're agentic, but I don't know that I would call them like a full-blown agent. But that's things like you're the buyer intent AI, the AI actions inside of workflows, which I'm going to show you a little bit later, the data studio syncing as well. And as you can see, there's different credit usage for those. And then there's the studios. They're, yes, another thing, but think of these like AI workspaces to do and see multiple AI tools in one place. Breeze Studio, great. Huge fan of the Data Studio. I don't have a demo of Data Studio today or data sets, but if you haven't played with data sets, I strongly encourage you to start getting your feet wet with them to really see what's possible. If you're familiar with Clay, similar vein, different backend data sources and such, but the fact that you can make smart columns that go and do research for you, so cool. And maybe that's even a future topic that we do for one of our future hugs.
Data Studio is also a great way to start prepping some of your data, because it gives you a safe space to sort and make changes and whatnot before you actually can bring that into your portal. And it's a great segue into this slide, which is all about prepping your portal. Now, I'm going to be the bad guy here and tell you that AI is not a magic button. Unfortunately, if you don't have clean data, if you don't have a clean system, and if you don't have clear goals, you're just going to amplify chaos all over your system. So you want to make sure that you have clean data and a solid data architecture. Super quick example. Let's say you want AI to build a report for you, right? But that report relies on a set of data that is across multiple duplicate properties, for example. Super simple example. It can really only pull from the one, right? Reportings. If you have duplicate properties for the same type of information, you're not going to get a good output, right? So if you want AI to be accurate and trustworthy and actually useful, you want to make sure that your data model, your objects, your properties, your associations, your activity history, and whatever is in the pipe, so to speak, becomes the truth, and so that it's clean and organized. So one of the things that we really recommend is that you go through your system and you archive any old, outdated assets. Let's say you have sales sheets in your documents and things like that are outdated. Go ahead and get rid of things like that. Review your workflows. Make sure that you are either archiving or shutting down unneeded workflows, especially if they're like canceling each other out or doing funky things. We also really recommend that you have a good, clean foldering and naming convention system that's easy to understand, but that is cohesive across your portal. And perhaps the most important aspect of using AI is having a clear goal. What is it that you want AI to do? Don't try to do everything at once, because as we said before, that could be overwhelming and that could be dangerous, right? So maybe you just want to increase sales efficiency or optimize your marketing campaigns. Pick a goal and then go from there. Stay focused and you'll build on that knowledge. So what does a strong setup look like? As I mentioned, consistent naming and standardized properties is really important. Making sure that associations between objects are valid, making sure that your workflows are aligned to your lifecycle stages, right? Making sure that you have a source of truth for your revenue operations, your life cycle, your lead status, your ownership of contacts, and usage that everybody is following. So whenever possible, try to use HubSpot's default properties for core things like lifecycle, lead status, owners, things like that, instead of creating multiple custom duplicates. Because again, the more duplicates you have, the harder it's going to be to have good, clean data. Make sure that you have good naming conventions. For example, you could have, for objects, you could have the object, purpose, MQL, and then qualification reason, for example, for a qualification object, right? So you want to make sure also that you are configuring your lifecycle stage automation settings, right? So like defaults for new records and things like that, instead of duplicating the same logic in dozens of workflows. Again, intaking the data in a clean way is better than having a whole bunch of workflows to try to clean things up afterwards. And really recommend that you regularly audit your workflows, depending on how many you have and how overwhelming it is, either monthly or quarterly, so that you are retiring redundant ones, simplifying branches, and making sure that nothing is competing against each other. Like no workflows are competing for ownership of something, or for routing leads, or for updating lifecycle updates, for example. So the bottom line is that a strong foundation is going to let AI work for you. So that's like the unsexy part of AI, is that you do have to have clean data and a well-organized portal in order to make the best use of it.
I would also add, you need to know what's in your portal. If you're just a, let's say, like just a, like a, maybe like a marketing coordinator, you're just using HubSpot in one specific way, there's going to be embedded AI tools that you can use and they're going to make your life so much easier. But that person probably shouldn't be the one to go build an agent that's going to go do things across the entire portal. So make sure you have the right roles involved as well.
Yep, agreed. All right, so that leads us to, how confident are you about your portal's data hygiene and organization? Why don't you put in the chat panel a rating on a scale from 1 to 5, with 1 being it's total trash, to 5 being yay, it's perfect, I love everything. Right. 4, 5, 5. Lewis, I'm really impressed. I have not seen a 5 very often at all. I see more 3s and 4s. I have seen some 1s. How about you?
Oh, we've seen countless ones. And I will also say that 5s are hard to achieve.
Yeah.
right? It depends on what you define a 5 as. What your standards are.
True. True. So with that, let's talk about just some overall steps on how to turn on AI in your portal. So the first thing that you need to know is that in order to manage your AI settings, you must have super admin permissions. So you have to be a super admin in your portal. So if these settings are not turned on yet, someone who's a super admin has to do it. So basically you go to your little gear and you go to account management AI, and then you can toggle on, give users access to generative AI tools and features. So we do recommend that you enable additional data settings like CRM data and customer conversation data if you want to use that data in your CRM in order to give more personalized output. So what Em showed you before, where she was asking which deals she was looking into, you're going to need to turn that on in order for the AI to have access to that information. Again, none of this information is going out into the public. It is not being used to train the LLMs, and it is not being used outside of your own portal. Permissions are really important to think about. You need to define who can view, edit, and run AI tools. I would personally not recommend, especially if you have a bigger organization, to just turn everything on for everybody, because that is a recipe for chaos. So you want to make sure that you define, start slow, start very focused, right? And then take it from there. What do we mean about step 3, the knowledge vaults? So this is the way that you tell AI the information about you and your business that you want it to use for the various outputs that you're asking it for. So for example, if you sell products, maybe you have sell sheets or product sheets, SKUs. You're going to want to make sure that you're connecting your AI to your website so that it can see what you sell, which means that your website has to have updated, good information, have a clear value proposition, right? So from there, you can configure your outreach settings, but you need to make sure that you're giving AI and your brand kit, for example, like your logo and things like that, that's all set up properly so that the AI can pick up from that in order to create the outputs. So from there, you're going to be configuring each agent separately. And today I'm going to demo the prospecting agent and how you configure that. And then, of course, we want to make sure that if you are very concerned about your brand voice, and most of us need to be, because that is how we separate ourselves from our competition, that you set your brand voice and your colors and visual styling and all of that in your brand kit that I mentioned a little bit earlier. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and show you the prospecting agent. So the prospecting agent, I love. I was super excited to be part of a beta of it, and we started playing with it back in the day, and it has come so far from the beta stage. I love it. So think of it as a sales development rep. You can also use it to help power some ABM activities. But before we get into that, the 3 big things that it helps you to do and helps you to automate is, number 1, researching certain accounts. So not only do you get instant research, but it can also continuously monitor for buying signals so that you can keep powering your outreach, right? It then personalizes your outreach based on that research, and it helps you automate and manage your email outreach. It also has multilingual support, which is currently in beta, so that's coming soon, analytics. And yeah, let's look at how it would work. Your prospecting agent will be here under sales, and it'll be right here under prospecting agent. And you're going to come to a screen that looks like this. And here, if you don't already have one, you're going to want to go ahead and set up the agent. So I want to show you that. But before I go into that, I just want to show you the other 2 tabs. So this is where it shows you who's enrolled, who's ready to review an enrollment, who's in progress, et cetera, et cetera. Very similar to how sequence enrollment works. And then analyze, this is going to give you your analytics that I talked about earlier. But let's just quickly go through the agent setup. I'm not going to go through every dink and doink because it really is pretty easy and pretty intuitive to use. So you would come in here and you would create a new selling profile. What's exciting about this is you can have multiple selling profiles, depending on if you want to reach out about different products, different services, or different personas, et cetera, et cetera. So you can have multiple selling profiles. I'm going to show you the different steps here with one that's already filled out. So you want to give it a name that's very easy for you to know what it is, right? Make it really, really easy to understand. And same thing with the description. You want to make sure that the description really tells you what this agent is doing, especially if you have multiple ones. You want that to be really easy to understand. The next pane is going to be your identity. And this is going to be who is the person that this outreach is coming from. And you have a couple of options here that are great. So you can send from a contact owner. So let's say you have a sales team. You can have the outreach go out from the sales rep that owns that contact, but you can use any property here. So you can use almost any property here in order to determine where it's coming from, right? So if you have a CX team or maybe directors or whatever, you can choose that. Now, if you're a smaller team or you want to make sure that it's only going out, like it's a single salesperson that wants to send out outreach only for themselves, then you would choose your own profile and make sure that obviously that your inbox is connected. If you send it from the contact owner, if something goes wrong, you can have a different person like a director or something be the fallback. All right. So then part of your selling profile is going to be the tone, right? And this has some handy preset tones like helpful, professional, witty, formal, optimistic, whatever. I like helpful. But you can also use your own brand voice. So remember I told you earlier that you want to make sure that you have your brand voice settings set up. So this is where that comes in handy. And then if you click here, it takes you to those settings so you can set those up. And then this is the multi-language outreach, which is in beta. But if you were to toggle it on, you could select the different languages depending on the language of the person that you're reaching out to. All right, here's where it gets really fun. This is in the setup. This is like typically the second pane that comes up, and this is your selling information. So you can put in your website here for AI, and AI will like literally populate all these things for you based on what's on your website. If your website is enormous and you're trying to set up like a specific agent for a specific product, let's say, then you can also put in like a landing page here if you have a landing page that has enough information. So then it fills all this stuff in based on your website, but you can edit any of it and add things. I really recommend that you edit these things very carefully. And in particular, the pain points are really important because that's going to give you a more personalized, more real sounding output. Industries, et cetera, et cetera. Again, going to go fast here because I want to make sure that we cover all of it. The next thing is the call to action. So what do you want the agent to offer to the prospect, right? You can do a meeting link. So you can, any meeting link that's in here, even if it's like an outside one, or no meeting link if you don't want to set up meetings, right? If you do, then you're going to select what user and which meeting link you want to use. If you have a document, again, like a sales sheet or images or a catalog or something that you want to include as part of that outreach, you can attach it here and the AI will be able to use it and attach it to the emails it sends out. And if you want to include a URL, so for example, here I'm using the free consultation as an example. Another one that I've seen in use is like an application. If you have a coaching program or something like that and you want people to be able to apply as like the third step in your outreach, you can add that here. And then you are going to want to set up your guardrails. So there's two modes that are available. One is completely automatic and the other one is semi. So I would highly recommend you do review before sending, which is a semi-automatic mode. And that means that it'll set everything up for you and let you review them before you say, go ahead and send. Sending automatically, I wouldn't do this until you're really comfortable with what it outputs, but this would literally just go ahead and send the emails automatically as it creates them. Again, highly recommend you do review before sending. And last but not least, in your outreach guidance, really important here, you can select what days of the week you want the emails to go out, your windows of time. I like morning emails, so mine are set from 9 to 11, but you can set it for any time. And then the frequency, how many days in between the emails and how many emails total you want it to send. So these are like the defaults, 3 and 5, but you can set it to, to whatever you want. And then last but not least, in your advanced settings, you can have custom instructions. So you don't have to turn this on, but if you were to turn it on, you can give it custom instructions like always be professional, don't make anything up, only use information from the landing page I gave you, whatever. But it also gives you some really good examples here of some example instructions that you can use so that it takes those instructions into consideration when it runs. So once that's all set up, then you can enroll people. And you enroll people the same way that you would enroll them through sequences. You can enroll them manually, you can enroll them with a workflow, you can enroll them by different criteria. And then the last thing that I want to show you is the research feature. And that is in your CRM, in your companies. So you would go to companies and you would view your target accounts, for example. And I just wanted to give you a quick peek as to how it works. And again, sorry, this is like our own stuff here, but I do have one that I already researched. So I wanted to show it to you as an example. If you click on this one, you can see all of the information that the agent has gathered about this. Company summary, recent news, job openings, product analysis, summary of their blog, so many things. Plus, you can see the buying group. You can see different buying activities, right? So it can use all of this information in order to power your outreach. Pretty cool.
Question from the chat. Do you know, Omi, about the efficacy in being able to not have your email reported as spam? If it's going to
Yes. I would definitely use the guardrails. In the settings, there's a guardrail about how many emails to send at once. So obviously all of your normal email deliverability best practices would come into play here, but also I wouldn't send more than 100 or so out. You'd have to play with it. And what's your take on that question?
You got to follow that. Don't send 70 people from the same company, the same email. Like even if the email were slightly different, maybe you put that into the instructions. But I don't think that if you're sourcing the contacts from within, from HubSpot, like enriching them, I hope HubSpot's not going to give you an invalid email address.
No, usually not. I haven't run into that yet, unless it's a super, super recent change in job. But all data sources have that issue. If somebody just changed their job like yesterday and you're running it today, you might get an outdated email, right?
So what's cool about the email is that I know Omi, you just showed that you could look at the research, but being able to look at the research in conjunction with the email that was written, definitely helpful.
Yes.
So yeah, you can take a look. And then it's not just the one email, right?
Yeah.
So here's something else, but we've only done a small pilot over here at Aptitude 8. I talked a little bit earlier about how AI is forcing me to think in terms of outcomes. And I honestly believe we all have to shift our mindset in that direction. And an important outcome, a very common outcome that our clients are looking for and us as well, is faster qualification of leads. How can I actually get to the qualification faster? How can I convert more of them and convert more of them faster? And then how can I also make sure that my team is being as efficient as possible? So I put together a AI-driven solution for marketing to sales handoff. I'm going to cover AI routing. I'm going to cover AI attribution, AI handoff brief that we've built out, and then a deal loss agent as well. I will tell you, this is just scratching the surface. I have a much bigger solution, but I wanted to hit the most agentic pieces and the most common ones. So I'm going to walk you guys through all 4 of these different AI-enabled solutions, all towards the outcome of a better marketing to sales handoff. I'm going to swap over here to a workflow. And this is for routing. So imagine you are a company that has a complex sales cycle, bigger buying committee. You have more of a consultative approach with several discoveries or something. I don't want my sales rep spending that time if the contact isn't in our ICP, right? So I need to make sure with this workflow that I am assigning things to the right people for the right reasons. So as you can see here, this is just if they fill out a form, then I've added a data agent action here where we wrote this prompt. I want you to summarize the properties on the contact record, the company size that they're associated to, the job title, their industry. And then I want you to, it says score them, but I want you to put them into 3 buckets: tier 1, tier 2, tier 3. If it's tier 1, it's a high fit, and I need to give that to an account executive immediately. I need them to get an alert. I need them to reach out and go. If it's tier 2, it's an okay fit, but we probably need to have some qualification by an SDR before it gets to the account executive. And then if it's tier 3, low fit, we can route it to a general SDR inbox, which, by the way, I didn't even scroll down. I'm sorry, guys. Here's your tier 1. You've got your regions. It's going to go to the right owner, give them a notification and a task to reach out. If it's tier 2, it's going to rotate it among the SDR team. And then if it's tier 3, it's just going to go to a general SDR inbox for someone to manage, and we can add them to the marketing nurture. But you can see here that I couldn't really have done that without the data agent function here. So that's part 1. So at the same time, so we've got, it's going to go to the right people for the right reason. I also need to make sure that it's the source of the lead is being attributed properly. If you work in marketing ops, if you know anything about marketing attribution, it's hard. I literally built a company around it. It's very hard. And there's first touch, last touch, multi-touch. There's also HubSpot has original source. It has the original source drill down 1, drill down 2. You can use UTMs. You can use your own custom fields. You can use on aptitude8.com. We have how did you hear about us? That's valuable information to me because that's their conscious source, right? So all of those things can't really be put together, is the truth, not in an easy way, unless you're working with data agents. So form submission comes in. I need to now know across original source, we like that field. We like the drill down field. We like our UTMs. We like, how did you hear about us? But how do you put that into one thing? In this prompt, I'm saying you have to pick one source. These are my companies aligned. We're all aligned on these buckets of sources. And here's the priority. Here are some rules, tiebreakers, another priority for UTMs. And also, if you see here, you can click in. That's how these properties got put in here. But then it's going to bucket it all for me. And then it's going to put it into the right sources that we all agreed on as a company. And I obviously, to do this, I know Omi, you said don't make custom properties, but for this, you got to have that because you can't edit original source. So now you've used AI to assign it to the right people for the right reasons with the right source that is informed by an amalgamation of different things that are important to you and your business. And now I want to generate, if I'm going to give this to a rep, I need to make sure they have everything, right? I want them to be fully armed and enabled to reach out to this lead to increase my chance of conversions here. So they filled out the form now. And I think, I don't know if it was someone else, Colleen, maybe someone was saying the research. Yes, you don't even have, look, it's just so easy. It's not even a custom agent. That's just go do research for me. I know, isn't that awesome? So I'm saying, go do research on this company, look at their name, the company name, look at their domain, look at hiring. Are they hiring for C-level executives or quantity of roles that they're hiring for? What are other signs of growth? Have they had any big press releases? So do that. And then I want you to infer the company value prop and ICP using that information. And then I would like you to build this handoff brief that's going to give my sales rep or my account executive everything that they need to know in a super digestible way. So you're an analyst, your job is to generate this brief, right? Use this data. I want to see what emails, their company, their domain. I want to see all of the news, their target value prop. What do they sell? What do they do? I want to see all the marketing things that have happened. There's a lot. And imagine if you're a sales rep, by the way, a lot of this stuff you don't even get access to. You have to go look at this on the contact or the company record. Then you have to go look into the activity log and see all of this and try to infer your own outreach. No, you don't have to do any of that. So it's going to do that for you with a data agent. I also want you to look at their revenue, likelihood to close, life cycle stages, deals. And then I want you to use this format, look at these types of patterns. And you don't have to write these prompts from scratch, by the way. You can use AI to help you write them. And obviously you want to test them as well. And then it's going to send it's going to generate it, send it to the owner. And then I also have this here open. Here's an example of it. So it's going to give me, this is Emily, it's me, this is the company that she works for, problems. So honestly, this data is really rich and very accurate. I can say that because it's about my company, but now I can see engagement, firmographic, how much money we make, company size, all that good stuff, growth indicators, buying signals. Now here's where it gets really exciting. So conversation opportunities for the rep. Here's what's going to matter to her. If you try to talk to M. Wingrove, surface level about HubSpot, bye. That's not me. That's not interesting to me. That's not who I am. That's not my background. That's not the business. So that's so helpful. If I'm a sales rep, do not go surface level with her. Go deep. That means maybe I need to get an engineer involved or an architect involved to have this conversation. Takes it even further. How do you steer the call? I would start here. Emphasize how you do this. Reframe your op. This is gold. And I didn't have to go look at different records. You can just skim through it and it's all bulleted out nicely for me. So if I'm the rep, then I would think that I have a better chance of reaching out and getting a conversion. But let's pretend in this example that unfortunately it didn't work out. This is a deal loss agent, and this is outputting information, trends, recommendations on our close loss deals. I'm using a sample size. It's only 10 deals, but check this out. Of the 10 deals, every single one that only had one contact will stall. It has the increased vulnerability for stalling. So that means you should probably incorporate more people from a buying committee when you're doing your sales cycle. Budget, competitive displacement. 2 deals were lost because of this. Process and timeline slippage. And here's your recommendations. You should be multi-threading every opportunity. You should be building a champion. You should have competitor-specific battle cards. My goodness, this is such rich information that's not just, oh, now I know something. No, I can do something about it. I can take action. And it gives me all the details. This is, if you would have told me 2 years ago, honestly, maybe even like a year and a half ago, that this was possible, I would have said, yeah, but you can't trust it. This is real data. The data about me is real. And the emails that I was showing over here, these are real and these are real people. I know I probably shouldn't be doing this live in a portal, but anyways, that's the demo that I've got for a marketing to sales handoff. And like I said, I think that's just scratching the surface. That's only attribution and routing. But what about like lead intelligence cards on the record versus putting it in a note? So there's more here, but this feels like a digestible amount that you guys could do this. We built this in a couple of days. So you can do it too. But again, going back to Omi, your point here, you got to have the data foundation and infrastructure, knowledge vault set up for certain things, just to make sure that you're running this responsibly. Mm-hmm. Key takeaways: clean data, clear goals. That's all you, Omi. That's how you're going to make AI work for you. Yep. Focusing on outcomes, not features. If you think about a feature, you're only limited to that one view of it, right? Versus what is your goal? What is your pain point? How does that turn into a goal and an outcome that you desire? And that's how you should build out your AI solutions. Start with one use case. Don't boil the ocean. If your company is sensitive or you have legal compliance and other regulations, start with a very safe small use case or small pilot for one function that's not connected to a bunch of other things. Because the other piece of this is it's not just proving that it works, it's getting buy-in from other people in your organization. My guess is that the folks on this call are innovators within their orgs. We got to get other people on board with us. And to do that, you kind of got to prove that it works. So start small, start with one use case. Also, I will tell you there's no such thing as magic, unfortunately. I would not tell you to just fully trust everything, never check anything, just turn it on, set it and forget it. That's crazy irresponsible. I would say don't do that. But lean into the value of AI, lean into the efficiency gains that you're going to get, but watch it. This is new for everybody. This isn't just a HubSpot thing. I would say this in general. Just be a little careful, be responsible about it. And yeah, you don't want to shove it into their faces. But I also wouldn't say, hey, there's no such thing as magic to the people that you're trying to get by. And some of the stuff I just showed you does feel like magic. But again, it comes back to the being responsible about it. I am curious what you guys would like to hear for next time. I can't promise that it won't be about AI because AI is now woven into my whole personality and our business ops, but I would be curious to hear from you. What do you want to hear about next, guys?
Definitely let us know what you want to hear about next. If you want to reach us on the next screen, there is a QR code for each of us. And at the end of this slide deck, we also have a bunch of resources for you, a bunch of links to different knowledge bases, how to manage your AI settings, et cetera, et cetera. including the credits and billing and how they work is one of the links there. So we are going to be posting that after the session.
We've got a well, it will be great to have a session where we build an agent with you. We could totally do that.
Oh, that'd be fun.
Or a custom assistant or something.
Yeah, we're custom assistant.
Mhm, mhm.
You don't 100% need Data Pro, Christopher, Data Hub Pro. It is super, super helpful. If you don't use a tool like Data Hub Pro, I see a lot of manual cleansing of spreadsheets in your future.
I hope I'm not wrong on this, but I was just looking this morning. The data quality tools, I think it's available even with Starter. Everybody gets the data quality.
Yes, basic data quality is available in Starter. Absolutely.
Heck yeah.
Right. Yeah, we will send out the email deck and we're going to figure out how to post the recordings. We're still working on that on the page.
Ooh, from a workflow standpoint, possibility of using AI to segment leads after they hit certain points. Woo, you could totally do that. You could totally do that with AI inside of a workflow. Do it with data sets.
Yep.
You really want to, but
Starter gives you the hygiene dashboards. Yeah, you do need Pro to actually clean it. But I also feel like if you're on the Starter, like a lot of this is a little bit sophisticated for being on Starter. Do you know what I'm trying to say?
True. The other thing too is, and I think folks often forget this, but just with your tier, you get a certain amount of credits.
Yeah.
Of the Breeze credits.
Yeah, Pro gets 5,000, I think.
So it's not like you have to buy a data hub and then also buy a ton on top of that. It comes with AI to help build dashboards from email marketing campaigns. You'd have to be looking at things. It has to be more than what can be done inside of the existing dashboards, which are pretty robust, but
yeah,
totally do that. It would be like a data set and then you use it in a report.
Yeah. But I would say there, it's all about making sure that the data is clean and not duplicated. And especially if you want to do marketing campaign, the dashboards are pretty robust. Like Victor, I'd love to hear what additional information other than what's already available with custom reports you might want to look at.
I did use the report builder AI feature and I was just like, yeah, show me all the deals that we've closed that are in this industry. And I whipped it up. Thank you guys all so much for coming. Let us know with the QR codes, or we're on LinkedIn, email. Let us know if there's any other topics you want us to cover for next quarter. Yeah, thanks for coming. This is exciting stuff.